Okay, I think we're on. Michele.
Okay, excellent. I have to mute mine. There we go. Okay, I'm going to count us down and then we'll kick it off. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead.
All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being with us today. This is episode 8 of the Take Note Chat. And our topic today, we're going to be talking about deciding what's important. We're going to be focusing on a short-term priority method and giving some thoughts on how to apply this method using OneNote. I believe OneNote can be utilized for virtually any kind of productivity method, but the one that I've been focusing on recently in the past month and plan on continuing to use in the future is the ABCDE method from Brian Tracy. If you don't know me, I'm Jared DeCamp, organizer of the Learn OneNote conference and group owner of Learn OneNote Hub. My home on the web is at classinoffice.com, and I'm joined by the fantastic Michele Christensen. Michele, go ahead and jump in here.
Well, hi, everybody. I am Michele Christensen, as Jared said, and I host the OneNote Bullet Journal Facebook group. It looks like at least a few people are here from that group. Hi, Denise. So let's see. Like a lot of you, I use OneNote to keep, just about everything in my life, big and small, organized, moving forward, and feeling like I'm on top of things. I'm also a YouTube creator. I'm a blogger at onenoteworthylife.com. And yeah, I use OneNote a lot. So Jared and I both really enjoy these live monthly chats because we both really like OneNote. And we're also both interested in like personal growth and business growth and that kind of thing. And I really wanted to dig into this idea of prioritizing things because it's so important to focus on the most important things every day. So I mainly use bullet journaling, but I do use priorities as well within my bullet journal. So Jared, why don't you go ahead and start us off with what the ABCDE method is?
Absolutely. So I'm sharing my screen and let me know when you can see it.
Got it.
Okay, cool. So just going to give credit to where it's due. This is Brian Tracy's website, and you can see his image on the right side here. And as you click around, you can see that he is a specialist in quite a few different things, productivity, public speaking, personal development, time management, and all those kind of things. So he has this post, which is the website that I'm up on right now, or the page that I'm up on, and it goes into the ABCDE method for setting priorities. It goes in it in detail. You can see it's got the whole blog there. But if I'm going to try to sum it up for all of us right now, I'd say the ABCDE method is a way to prioritize your short-term task list by order of priority, with A being the highest priority, B secondary, C being things that are nice to do, and D being things you should delegate, and then finally E being things you should be eliminating. Now, there's a few variations of this method floating around on the web, and Michele has kindly organized a group of links to this page and a few others that describe some of these different variations in terms of prioritizing your tasks. How does all that work for you, Michele?
Really well. It reminds me of one of the first planners I had was the Franklin planner, and the method that is taught with the Franklin planner is to use ABC, and even within that you could number it, so you have A1, A2, A3, etc. But I like this idea because it helps me think of my tasks in specific categories rather than as just one large list. And for me, the addition of the D and E categories adds a certain comprehensiveness to the system. If you only use ABC, it presumes that all of the tasks that are there should be done, when in fact some of them might be should be delegated or deleted. And I do think that our thinking about things can be influenced by the categorization system we use, and giving yourself those 2 extra categories allows you to have a more thorough consideration of the task. And I would liken this, Jared, I know you probably don't do this because we both live in Southern California, but I grew up on the East Coast, and when you change seasons, you go through your closet and store some clothes away for the new season. So if you were changing your closet over from summer to winter, and you only had categories like, okay, this one, I'm going to store these in the attic, the laundry room, or under the bed, that supposes that you're going to keep everything. But if you added also a category of giveaway or donate and a trash category, it's going to allow you to really think about, first, do I want to keep this thing? And second, where do I want to store it if I want to keep it? And so I think it does add that comprehensiveness to prioritizing your tasks.
Yeah, that's good. I like that you said that you know, a lot of times when we talk about these topics, they're a little bit abstract, and so like when you drew the point home with the close, that actually drove the point home well for me. A lot of you guys may or may not know this, but you know, Michelle and I will talk about these topics ahead of time, and sometimes I'm always surprised, or sometimes I'm always, a lot of times I'm surprised and blown away and impressed with things that Michelle brings to the table that we didn't even go over in the past. And so that was a great analogy. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
thank you.
That was really good.
Thank you. That wasn't scripted, by the way, everyone.
Okay, so do you have a couple of links to put in the chat, or
everything's in the video description. So
okay,
if
great.
anything we talk about is there. There are, Jared, you had come up with a link from a website called servetolead.org and a website called blinkist.com. And those two links are in the chat. And they're just other variations on using like letters to prioritize your tasks.
Okay, great.
And I do use some prioritization, which I'm going to show later, but I do it mainly in my daily work just to pick off a few really important items that are just really critical for that day. So, Jared, I want to see how you use this ABCDE method.
Yeah. So I'll show my screen as well very shortly. I've been using it. I'd say that the key is for me using it and prioritizing my short-term tasks. You know, I'm a really big fan of having a list to work off for the day, and this gives me a little bit more structure, and it gives me a little bit more of an action guide to my daily list. So I've been enjoying it in that way. And last month we talked in Take Note Chat number 7, we talked about decision fatigue and the different types of personalities with coming to decisions. And I think part of the reason why I like this ABCDE method and why I think that it works for me can be explained as a continuation of our past discussion last month.
Yeah, and if you missed that, the thing that Jared is referring to is we talked a little bit about the Myers-Briggs Indicator, and there's a link to that in the video description. And this is a way of typing different personalities. And one of the axes in the Myers-Briggs Indicator has to do with the type of decision maker you are. And at the extremes, there are perceivers and judgers. And perceivers are people that like to gather information, and then make a decision when they feel fully and completely ready. And perceivers feel pressure when they are forced to make a decision before they're ready. At the other extreme would be a judger, and a judger likes to make quick decisions. Judgers feel pressure from unmade decisions. So a judger tends to get just the information they really need and then make a decision quickly and move on.
Yeah, and that's been something that I've been thinking about over the last months after that discussion, because I feel like I lean more towards being a perceiver because I like to gather information before making a decision. I mean, I was looking back at my work history, and a lot of the positions that I've held have been things like researcher and analyst. So you can see just by those titles that I like to gather and collect information. And so I feel like this priority task list, it helps me to reduce that temptation to constantly be looking for more information, and it helps me to get into or stay with or work towards this working mode and jump to the next most important task. Like in the morning when I get started with work, I like sitting down at the computer and being able to start with the most important task right away.
Yeah, absolutely on this. One of the things we talked about last month with decision fatigue is to try and set your day up just one time so that you're not redeciding every time you switch gears from thing to thing. That could be, a few times or 10 times a day. And so just doing it once and prioritizing everything, it lets you just really stay in work mode.
Yep. Okay. So I think I'm going to go ahead. That's kind of a lot of the background and information. I think we're going to jump into some day samples and kind of get into OneNote. Are you able to see my screen?
I am able to see your screen.
Okay, great.
And
so I may have shown this a couple times, but No, I don't think I've showed this day page. I showed my past day page. So here is an example of a recent day using the ABCDE method. And this is September 13th. So this is a real deal. Maybe the first thing you might notice is actually all this green stuff here. That's how I delineate that a task has been completed. And then Andrea is my wife. So it's me, Andrea, and then personal chores. So the first point, B, that you might also notice is that I don't have an E category. So you can see I have A, B, C, D. And I just made that decision because I kind of don't understand why exactly that you would write something down that um, you're going to be eliminating. Although Michelle did touch on that earlier and gave a little bit of wisdom on that.
Yeah, and I agree with you that there's really no point in writing down e-tasks for today. I think it would be more for people that are either doing, like, sometimes when people don't have an existing organization system and they're just getting started with something, whether it's the Brian Tracy system or getting things done, but they need to kind of collect everything and they do a big brain download. They just write down everything that's on their mind. And I think the E would be useful in that setting. Or if you're just going through, and cleaning house, doing that big sort of attic clean out.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so then continuing on with this day page, I do just use the to do tag here. So I don't have prioritization on the personal chores, usually because that's just one or two things, and I consider all of those to be basically a task. Let's see. The other thing I want to talk about on this page. Okay, so I choose to kind of structure this way. There's a ton of different things you can do with OneNote, but I use lists and I separate them out in this way with like the A task, B task, C task headings. And I choose to attempt to make the page a little bit prettier to look at. The pretty pages is the thing. I try to make it look a little bit better, a little bit of color. I'm not the most creative individual, but when I set up these bullet lists. Let me just show you here. When you hit on the small arrow to the right on the numbering, you can see a couple of different options. And then on the bullet, you can see a few different options here. And I think I actually did this on, I might have done this in OneNote 2016, but you can see a couple different options and do different things. And then once you have your list going, you
sorry,
can
that's
hit,
my dogs.
that's all right. This is a live show. So once you have your bullet list in there, then I like having it there because I'm just hitting enter and I'm able to get
Yeah.
another thing.
Jared, I'm going to step away for a minute and just see if I can quiet that down. I will be right back.
Okay, no worries. Let's see. Okay, so let me just continue through this page, and then I was going to talk about some calendars. So I feel like this ABCD method has been working well for my short-term tasks. This is a page that I have every single day. For the longer term projects, I'm not quite convinced that this is the only method I need. And so there's a few different things I'm experimenting with right now. So I want to show you this calendar here. If you can see this calendar, this is the actual calendar that I had for a project. And it's kind of like a publishing calendar for big picture items related to the OneNote membership that I was working on. And what I do is I use this publishing calendar, and then I like kind of like jot out everything that I have, and then I take this back to the day page and write down my tasks based on priority.
Yeah, that is really cool. I really like that. I wanted to just make a comment on your day page. One of the
Sure.
things I like, well, I love the little smiley face bullets. That's awesome, especially when you're talking about your tasks. But I like that you use different font sizes because it kind of reemphasizes what's important and what's not. And then in the calendar, does the color coding have any meaning?
Okay, so this page.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So what I did is I try to like associate or tie tasks together. So like here, August 7th through the 10th is kind of the easiest one to see. So you can see August, I was supposed to begin this task, like so it's draft, and then I'm supposed to finish it by the 10th. And then the same color, I'm supposed to release it by the 27th. So I kind of like had the colors to show when I should start something, finish something, deliver something.
Oh, okay. So each color would be a different project, and then it lets you see the milestones for the different projects visually.
Right. And it was the very big picture milestones. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'd go into the day page and write like my priority tasks, like what do I need to do to actually hit that deliverable.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll show just two other calendars here. Here's another content calendar. This was a PDF page put onto the background of the OneNote page, and I just was able to doodle all over it. And then I could kind of like refer back to this in the future to make my priority task list. And then you can see maybe a little bit of pattern here with my calendars. I really like the tables. So this is the one that I have for October that I'm working on right now. And basically, you can just see like I have big pictures things. So I need to deliver something. I need to start on something on the first, deliver it on the Wednesday, start on something on the next Monday, and deliver it on the Wednesday. And so that kind of like just keeps me um, in the workflow, in the process, making sure that I don't miss some of those big things. And then I can refer to this as I set up my day.
Yeah, that is great and really helpful. Tables are really good to use, I think, too, in this setting because they're so expandable. Like you can make it as big as you need to or as small as you need to, whereas an actual calendar is much more fixed in place.
Right. And it's a small thing, but I really like the Control A,
Hmm.
which I can kind of copy everything in the cell, and that allows me to move things around pretty quick. So,
I'm going to go ahead and type that in the chat. So Control A.
yeah, like if you did Control A on a Word document, which I always do now because I'm so habitual with my OneNote use of it, it copies everything in on the page, whereas
Hmm.
Control A within OneNote operates a little bit differently and just first selects the paragraph. So it's pretty nice within tables cells.
Hmm. So Denise is commenting that OneNote needs the ability to set column widths and row heights. And
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes. Because I do think the tables would be much more useful if we could do that. You know, you could have a lot more control over things.
absolutely. And it's a little tricky when you go from different screen size to screen size. But I have seen when people set up templates, they do a really good job a lot of times of messing with these note containers. So like the note containers will impact a little bit the columns. It's not like an exact science, but like because this note container, I don't know if you can see that on the screen, because it's here, this text is wrapped, but
Hmm.
then like as I draw it out, and I think it'll give me more room to move it out. So like people when they do templates, they'll use those note containers to really could scroll out to manipulate some of the column things. And then like if you're just putting information in a cell that you expect to be like most of the time the information is about the same quantity, then you
Hmm.
can kind of mess with that a little bit. That's a little bit of a tangent. I don't know if that makes sense, but messing with this note container, you can sort of manipulate.
Yeah. And just for people that don't know, can you say what a note container is?
Yes, in OneNote for Windows 10, which is what I'm in right now, everywhere that you're in OneNote, it puts this. Let me zoom in. I don't know the correct definition, but it's basically
Hmm.
a grouping of your notes or your content. So everything within OneNote has a note container, and then it allows you to move around that information. Um, does that help?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then OneNote for 2016, you have an option to remove the viewing of this container, which I know bothers some people. So they don't like seeing this container. But with OneNote for Windows 10, I do not believe there is that option.
Yeah. Well, let's hope. Um, okay, so let me just see if there's a. Oh, so Denise, who is an awesome OneNote user, she says once you drag a column to a specific size, it usually with an emphasis, stays that width, but you can't specify something like 1 inch. So
Right.
yeah, that is true. Thank you, Denise. Okay, so you're done screen sharing. So I'm going to go ahead and share an example of what a daily task list might look for me.
Looking forward to it.
Okay,
I can see your screen now.
great. So I like using this to-do tag for my task lists because I think Denise actually mentioned this earlier, that it's so nice to see these tasks checked off. There's just something so satisfying about that. And to get this tag, I'm up here in this first line that says laundry, and I'm just clicking here where it says tag as to do. So you can tag it, untag it, or check it as done. I also like to number this because it helps me keep some sanity to it. I have been guilty of kind of like shrinking my text and moving things around, just desperately trying to fit more on one page than I can really do. So by having a number on there, it helps me keep a sane number. Like I try and keep it under 10.
Okay.
And then I don't use the ABC, but I sort of do something similar, which is that I use the critical and important tags, which are also found up here in this same menu with the to-do tag. So for example, like bathing my dog is usually not critical, so I'm going to just tag that as important. But emailing the vet could be a critical item. Oops, wrong thing. And that's this red exclamation point. And I really try and use a very discerning eye when I mark something as critical. Like to me, critical really needs to be done that day, and I will stay up late or keep working late to finish it. So if you have something like a bill to pay, it's really not critical until a couple, it's very soon before it's due. It might be important, but it's not critical until it's really close to due. So at the end of the day, when I'm getting ready to finish up for the day, I can scan and say, okay, I've done everything that had to be done today, and most of what was important, and everything else is, lesser priority. I also like using emojis in my task list. You can find the Emoji Keyboard on a Windows machine by pressing the Windows key and period at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm up here in this line that says laundry, and I'm going to press the Windows and the period. And you see I get this emoji, and you have all kinds of emojis. This is just the ones I've used recently. And the first one I started using was this dot. It looks like a record button for a music player. And this goes back to my Franklin Planner days. The Franklin Planner system, they talk about putting a dot next to something when you've started it but haven't finished it. And it's sort of like the dot kind of bugs me a little bit because it's like started but not finished, and that dot should stand out at you. The next one I use is, I'm going to click Windows period again, is this pause button, which it looks like a pause button on a music player. And this is when I am stuck on something, but it's not my fault. So in this case, I need to pay the handyman, but he hasn't given me his Venmo handle yet. So I'm just waiting for him, and it's not my fault. But it's something that I want to do very soon. So I don't want to kind of move it off into a not daily to-do list, because I want to keep that sort of top of mind and get that taken care of. And it's going to be taken care of in the next day. So the other one I use, the third emoji, is this backwards arrow. And the reason I use this is at the end of the day, any of these tasks that aren't done, I cut and paste them all to the next day. And then I put this arrow there to show that I forwarded it from a prior day. And the reason I do this is because, again, it kind of bugs me that I forwarded something, and 1 hour will bug me, but 2 will really bug me. So if I have forwarded something twice, it really needs to be done. And it also helps me to make sure that I'm making a list that's really just for today. If I'm forwarding things again and again, then I'm being overly ambitious, or something's not getting done, but something's wrong if I'm forwarding things again and again. So I think that's all I have to show. And the one final thing I just wanted to remind mainly myself, but is not to bloat your categories or your to-do list. So, keep in mind what you really can get done in a day. And in terms of miscellaneous tasks, for me, it's usually not that many by the time I've worked and taken care of the house and the dogs and the errands and that kind of stuff. There's usually just not that much room. So I try and keep that list pretty small. And the same with the categories of critical or important. Use a really discerning eye when you say that something is critical, because otherwise it becomes meaningless. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in and I know you were talking for a bit and showing us some good stuff. That was all excellent. I put in the Windows key and period shortcut in the chat because I think that's a really good one. I know that emojis are a great way to add a little bit of color to your page and make them look better and also be really practical and useful as well. And then we got a question I saw about the availability of the recording. And yes, that is available.
It'll be up at the same link that you click to watch this live. The recording will stay there.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I wanted to try something real quick.
Do you want me to stop sharing? Or should I leave this up?
Well, can you do me a favor? Can you, since you're sharing, I just wanted to say one thing because I've seen this discussed in some of the community groups. If you go to your title, the title of your page, and you put an emoji like before the S, like at the beginning of the title, like, Windows Keyboard, and you just whatever one you want.
A smiley face.
I just wanted to say that because I think some people have used that as another layer of organization for their page structure. So like maybe within the section, you could have the smiley face pages be something, and then the other emojis be something else. Like if you had 10 pages here or something. I wanted to mention that because I know I've seen people talk about that.
You know, it does. Like if you look over here in this, this is the page list here. It does look kind of eye-catching, and you know, like because I put a smiley face in, it kind of looks cute to me. So it does add a little bit of cheerfulness. But you could, you know, there's so many different emojis. You could have, you know, a check mark or an X or you know whatever you want, and that is like a really good visual indicator that people could use. So I think that's a great tip.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I think that's it for today. You can stop sharing.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. I hope that was some helpful information. Let's see here. The best way to get a hold of me personally is on Twitter. I'm at Jared_DeCamp. And you can also use the hashtag TakeNoteChat and let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about. If you're liking what we're talking about, if you want us to go in a different direction, we're happy to take all suggestions. The next Take Note Chat will be happening on Tuesday, October 16th at 1:30 p.m. And I personally am very excited about this topic. This was Michelle's idea. I think it's a good one. We are going to be talking about switching from Evernote to OneNote. So we've been brainstorming some thoughts that we're going to be sharing and some tips and tricks and ways to make that happen. But I know that it's a hot topic. So switching from Evernote to our favorite tool, OneNote.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And I just want to do a final check of the chat here. It looks like T, first name is T, says they love the concept of multi-arrows. Many of my tasks get moves from day to day on a regular basis. So yeah, I love that too. It does really help me stay on top of that. Denise says that the Windows plus period has never worked on my Office PC, but it works on my Surface Go. Otherwise, I use the touch keyboard to get to emoji on the PC and laptop. So Denise, you know, I am not sure what the touch keyboard is. If you can explain that in the chat, that would be awesome because I'd love to share that. So while I don't know if she's still on or not, but if not, go ahead.
It sounds like she gets the keyboard on the screen.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. But yeah, so I will see if I can get that into the video description because I can reach out to Denise later. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Here we go. She says, hit the Windows key and just type touch keyboard to get to it. So you know what? Just because we're there, I am going to go ahead and do that. Is that all right with you, Jared?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So sharing my screen. Okay. So Windows and touch.
Yeah, and while you're getting there, are you showing your screen right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry, go ahead.
There it is. So I just typed Windows, like Denise said, and started typing touch keyboard, and I can see it right here. And
are you on?
Oh, there it is. Huh, interesting. Oh,
Are
and there it
you?
is. Can you see it?
I don't know. I don't. It's not popping up for me. You're just in Bing.
Um,
Do you have Windows 10 by
I
chance?
do.
Okay.
All right. I don't want to hold people up. I will sort this out later, and maybe Denise, if you put a video up, let me know, and I will link your video here.
Yeah, and it might be a Surface thing the way it's designed.
Yeah.
I can do it on mine in the bottom right, or like she suggested.
All right.
But it's a good one.
Yeah. It tells me there's a way to get emojis, even if that particular thing doesn't work for you. So yeah, this has been really fun. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We do really enjoy these chats. So thanks for all your input. And if you like today's chat, I would love it if you'd subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button, and you'll get notified of future chats if you turn on the notification in YouTube. And remember that you can find any links we mentioned today will be in the video description for this. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
All right, bye everyone.